Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to Mrs. Bandu's Math Movies. This is lesson 3-4 for course 2, multiplying fractions and mixed numbers. Our objectives are to do that, multiply fractions and mixed numbers, and solve problems by multiplying. Okay, so here are our key concepts. Basically, when we have something like 1/3 times 1/2, we'll multiply our numerators, so 1 times 1, and multiply our denominators, 3 times 2. Now this is a little bit different than addition and subtraction, so you want to keep in mind that it is a slightly different process. 1 times 1 gives me the new numerator of 1. 3 times 2 gives me the numerator of 6. If I want to think of this algebraically, this is going to give me A times C, which is the product of A and C at the top, or AC. B times D, which is BD. Also remember, though, that B cannot be 0 and D cannot be 0 because division by 0, definition of a fraction, is undefined. Okay. We've talked about that some in class. If you don't remember what that means, please be sure to verify with me in class and I will explain a second time. All right, straight to our examples, multiplying fractions. So we're going to multiply the numerator. We have 3/5 times 5/6. Multiply the numerators, multiply the denominators. Okay, so 3 times 5 is 15 for my numerator. 5 times 6 is 30 for my denominator. And I'm going to simplify. So at this point, the greatest common factor for 15 and 30 is 15. So I simplify this to 1/2. Remember, in general, you're going to want to simplify whether or not the directions specifically tell you to simplify. Generally, we answer in simplest form. Okay, you see some quick check questions right here. At this point, go ahead and do them now if you'd like. So pause the video, or you can move on and then come back later. I'm going to continue on to our next example, and it's multiplying by a whole number. Ebony biked 12 miles on Saturday. Kate biked 2/3 of Ebony's distance. How far did Kate bike? So basically what we want to find here is 2/3 of 12, or 2/3 times 12. When we want a fraction of something, of is going to equal times, or multiply. So that's important to know. Okay, so when we're talking about fractions particularly, 2/3 or a fraction of something means a fraction times that something. So that's good to know. What we want to do here, so we have 2/3 times 12. We want to write 12 as the improper fraction 12 over 1. That way it just avoids a little confusion. Okay, so now we get 2/3 times 12 over 1. Now if you'll notice, there's some simplifying going on here, also known as cross-canceling. Okay, so what I look for is the numerator of one fraction and the denominator of the other fraction. If they have any common factors other than 1, I can simplify, or what is also known as cross-canceling. Okay, 2 and 1, only common factor is 1. But when I look at 3 and 12, they each have a common factor of 3. So I'm going to mark out the 3 and write down a 1, because 3 divided by 3 gives me the 1. Okay, and I'm doing this mostly in my head here, okay? 12 divided by 3 gives me a 4. So basically I've replaced the 3 with a 1 and the 12 with a 4. Okay, so now I'm going to do 2 times 4 is 8, which I have right here, and 1 times 1 is 1. So I use those new numbers that I got after I simplified. Okay, so when I simplify, I get the answer 8. So Kate biked 8 miles. So the final answer to the question is 8 miles. Again, if the number tells us about something, remember I require that you put some sort of label to identify that that number actually stands for something rather than just simply a number. Okay. And our next situation is multiplying mixed numbers. We want to find 5½ times 3 1/3. Okay, so we'll estimate here. 5½ is about 6. 3 1/3 is about 3. Okay, so 6 times 3 would be 18. Again, I rounded each fraction to each mixed number, pardon me, to the nearest whole number as we practiced earlier, and simply multiplied them. Okay, here is where now you have to change your mixed number into improper fractions. Okay, so I will talk through the steps again. Remember the shortcut, not very technical, but is bottom times big plus top. So 2 times 5 is 10 plus 1 is 11. So 5½ gives me 11 halves. 3 times 3 is 9 plus 1 is 10. This gives me 10 thirds. Okay, so I changed each mixed number into an improper fraction. Multiply the numerators and multiply the denominators. Okay. So 11 times 10. Actually, I'm going to stop. Before I do that, I'm actually going to simplify as well. They just showed us how to do that, and I'm not sure why the authors didn't also do it here. But when I look at 2, it goes into itself 1 time. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So I marked out those 2 and changed my numbers. So now I'm going to do 11 times 5, and 1 times 3 is 3. Okay, so 11 times 5 is 55 over 3 is my improper fraction. Remember now what you'll do is you're going to take the 55 and divide by 3 to simplify. 3 goes into 5 1 time. 3 goes into 25 8 times. So my answer is 18, my whole number, and then my fraction is 1/3. The remainder over the divisor. So check for reasonableness. 18 and 1/3 is close to the estimate of 18. So the answer, again, is at least reasonable. Okay. Now just a note, backtrack here on the simplifying. It's not absolutely necessary to simplify, but generally if you do, then your simplifying later down the line will be much easier because you'll be dealing with smaller numbers. Okay, so you do want to try to recognize and use that. Of course, we will practice this some more in class, so you can have questions answered as well. Here are the remaining quick checks. Be sure you have all of them answered before we meet in class again. Be sure to bring in any questions you have, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.